Hey there, welcome to the one and only Trash Talking Podcast.
Hello everyone!
We are here to explore the complex world of waste management and recycling in Europe, and we will show you the coolest recycling practices and tips for living a green lifestyle. In each episode, we will have expert guests that will share their insights and perspective on the most pressing issues facing the planet today.
That's right, and we are your hosts, Carolina and Itziar, and we are ready to dive into the sustainability world of another European country. Trash Talking is your go-to source for insightful and engaging conversations about the future of waste management. So stay tuned and we hope you enjoy the Trash Talk.
We're here to show you that talking about sustainability is interesting and necessary. So, grab a drink, as always, in our reusable cup, of course, and get ready for some trash talk.
In case you still don't know, this podcast is produced by the Primus project, where 12 European organizations work together to recycle plastic for car parts and home appliances. And as Carolina has already said, each episode is focused on a different country, and we promise to bring very special guests every time.
Okay, so another episode, another European country.
Yeah, the third one already.
Yes, this time we chose the Netherlands. As always, we will talk about sustainable habits, curiosities, and amazing initiatives. This time from this small country.
We are very excited to introduce today's guest, Rita Neiva.
Yeah.
She works as a plastic engineer at Coolrec, a Dutch partner from the Primus Project Consortium. Welcome to Trash Talking,
Welcome.
Anna. Feel free to introduce yourself and thanks a lot for coming.
Yeah, thank you.
Hello, Carolina. Hello, Itziar and listeners. Thank you for this invitation. It's a pleasure to be here today and be part of this podcast. As a plastics engineer at Coolrec Plastics, I will try to bring you today some insights of how the recycling industry works in the Netherlands. But first, I will introduce myself. I am Portuguese. I did a master's degree in Portugal in the University of Minho in polymer engineering, and I always had a big interest in sustainability-related topics. During my thesis, I embraced the first experience in Brussels to do research for recycled materials for automotive parts. The experience was great. I felt like I was making actually a difference, even if small. This brought me to Coolrec in the end of 2021. Coolrec is part of Renewi Group. Renewi is a European leader in waste management, and Coolrec is a subsidiary that treats the electrical and the electronic waste. As I referred, I'm a plastics engineer, mainly working with the recovered plastics from e-waste. I am doing R&D and technical support to the customers, and I'm also involved in European projects as Primus.
Wow, Anna.
Whoa, Anna, yeah.
That sounds very interesting.
Yes.
So, now that you have introduced yourself to the listeners, we are ready and also very excited to discuss what we have learned about sustainability in the Netherlands. Let's start with some general facts and questions.
Yes. In late 1980s, the Netherlands suffered from a lack of landfill capacity and insufficient thermal treatment capacity. This meant that a change in waste management policy was urgent.
The changes they made showed some positive results. As we read in the webpage of the Dutch government, the amount of waste landfilled decreased from 35% in the 1985 to only 2% in the 2016.
A lot of change.
Yeah. Also, the rate of recovery rose from 50 to 95%, and nowadays 77% of waste is recycled and the residual waste is used for energy production.
A lot of percentage, E.T.
Yeah, that was too much.
Sorry, I think you need to write this down. But those numbers are incredible. There must be some elements that made it possible to achieve these possible results, right?
Yeah, achieving those results is definitely not easy. For example, the order of preference helped a lot for the Dutch because their approach is to avoid creating waste as much as possible.
Oh, that's very important.
Yeah.
Yeah, and probably also applying solid standards to waste management. That's good. First, let's start with an interesting fact of the Dutch people. They have embraced the concept of pay as you throw. That is an interesting but simple idea with a big impact. Basically, the more trash you throw away, the more you pay.
Okay, makes sense.
Yeah, this is a clever strategy that encourages people to think twice about what they're throwing away. It's all about reducing waste and making people more conscious about their consumption habits.
And there are also a number of different ways of applying pay as you throw. There are some schemes, for example, choosing the size of the containers of the households.
Yeah.
Also, the frequency of collections. There's a fee per stack depending on the weight of the waste, and also a combination of more than one of these schemes that I just told you.
As a rule, those areas that apply pay as you throw have more recycling rates and reduce their waste compared to the regions that have a flat fee for waste services.
As far as we know, it has brought good results so far.
Yeah.
And Anna, have you heard about pay as you throw?
Yes, I have. It's a great system. I think one of the best things is that it can be implemented in many different places with different conditions, since the system will be effective depending on the local conditions and objectives.
Yes, exactly. That's a great advantage.
Yeah, it is. And now let's bring a very popular topic that probably everyone was expecting, the Dutch bicycles. So, believe it or not, they even play a role in waste collection.
Really?
In some cities, you'll find these awesome cargo bikes going around collecting recyclables right from people's homes. So, it's like having a mobile recycling station on wheels.
Yeah, it's true. In fact, Dutch authorities tested an initiative in which citizens could borrow those cargo bikes to transport bulky waste, for example, I don't know, a washing machine, to the recycling stations. And by doing this, they were able to increase the number of recycled items. Yeah? Interesting, isn't it?
Yeah, and it sounds very convenient as well.
And speaking of convenience, let's not forget the Netherlands high-tech waste disposal system. They've got these underground containers that holds a ton of waste, and they are smart as well. They notifies the waste collection trucks when they're getting full, so they can ensure that all the bins are emptied efficiently. It's like that the trash is calling for a pickup, and the trucks come to the rescue, kind of.
Yeah, that's very smart actually. Also, another topic, last but not least, let's give a shout out to the Dutch commitment to innovation. They are always on the lookout for new and better ways to handle waste, whether it's exploring new recycling technologies or experimenting with circular economy concepts. The Netherlands is giving importance to innovation in waste management.
I definitely agree with that. Ever since I have started working in the Netherlands, I have witnessed ongoing innovation in sustainability-related topics.
So there you have it. The Netherlands know how to rock the waste collection game. They've got pay-as-you-throw incentive, cargo bikes collecting recyclables, high-tech underground containers, and a never-ending drive of innovation. Now, who said waste collection couldn't be exciting?
Yeah, it can be.
Yes.
Anna, also, I would like to ask you, what role do you think companies like Coolrec play in all of this that we just explained? How does Coolrec contribute to sustainability?
Coolrec has several agreements with collection schemes for receiving electrical and electronic devices. As Coolrec has different treatment streams, the collection schemes need to guarantee the delivery of separate devices. For example, refrigerators and IT equipment are treated separately due to the differences in their characteristics. This is the way in which they must be depolluted and the content of their materials, often with the presence of regulated substances. This is an example of how collection systems can and should create incentives and ways to ensure separation in an early stage of the value chain. Coolrec contributes to sustainability in many ways by creating awareness through, for example, projects like Primus, where we can provide a better understanding on how the recycling industry works and the impact of the waste collection.
Yeah, so it's great having companies fulfilling this role. And it's even better to have them, of course, in the Primus consortium.
Yeah, it's a great consortium that we have over there. And on the other hand, as we said at the beginning, you are from Portugal, but you are currently living in the Netherlands. So we are curious to know, well, what have been the main differences or shocks you have experienced about waste management or sustainability in general from living in Portugal to the Netherlands?
The system works differently. In the Netherlands, both recycling and collection are managed at a local level by municipalities and paid through city taxes, so it depends on where you live. In the big cities, colored bins are in place, but it was very interesting to see that in some cases the municipalities provide you separate recycling cans. for you to separate waste at home, and then they collect it on the roadside. For household appliances, they are drop-off locations, usually per municipality. Like in the biggest cities in the Netherlands, Portugal works mainly with colored bins all over the country. In Portugal, the recycling and waste management numbers are lower. In 2019, Portugal accounted with 29% of urban refuse, while the latest European average stands at around 48%. Although the country is committed to change this number by reducing the amount of waste and creating the door-to-door collection of organic waste. In Portugal, the recycling entity called Sociedade Ponto Verde sorts the different bins and distributes to recycling companies by type of material. For the non-recycled material, unfortunately, landfill is still very common, while in the Netherlands not so much.
It's actually quite interesting to reflect on how different waste collection strategies are in different countries in Europe. So it's nice that you can give us this point of view about Portugal.
Yes, absolutely.
A topic we always bring to this episode is the deposit return system, which is also quite popular and successful in the Netherlands. I would like to just briefly mention that this year in April, the scope of these items have been expanded in the Netherlands, and it is now included the aluminium and steel drink cans as well.
Yeah, this means that a new type of material, apart from plastic and glass, will enter the loop of recycling, so this is good news for circular economy.
I always use this system in the Netherlands, and I believe now they have started to test the system in Portugal as well.
Yeah, so I hope that in the near future it will be expanded in more European countries.
Yeah, for example, in Spain.
Exactly.
On the other hand, Anna, what do you think that could be improved in how the Netherlands tackles sustainability?
Well, overall, I believe the Dutch are doing pretty well on the sustainability front, but there could be a couple of things to improve. For example, the Netherlands has made significant progress in renewable energy sources like wind and solar power, but there's still work to be done. It would be great if the government set more ambitious goals for a transition to clean energy. It will also be very valuable to implement more educational programs and campaigns to raise awareness about reducing waste. On the other hand, encouraging business to minimize packaging and promoting reusable alternatives could have a big impact as well.
Those are some good actions to focus on for the next steps.
Did you know that bicycles outnumber people in the Netherlands? Yep, there are more bikes than humans.
Yeah, actually I knew that. I was really looking forward to the bike topic.
Yeah, even though we talked about the bikes a little bit before, I think we can talk a little bit more. So, the Dutch have the most extensive cycling infrastructure in the world. They basically thought of everything to make cycling safe, convenient, and awesome.
According to an article in Euronews, if everybody cycled like the Dutch, we could offset the UK or Australia's entire carbon footprint.
Whoa.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
Because Dutch people cycle an average of 2.6 kilometers per day. Wow. And the study shows that if the pattern was replicated worldwide, the annual carbon emissions would drop by almost 700 million tons.
Whoa.
So, wow, what's your opinion about this, Anna?
That's amazing. I wish everyone could cycle like the Dutch. And I say this because not everyone is willing to give up their cars, but more importantly because it's not possible for everyone to cycle safely. There are a lot of reasons for this to happen. The most obvious one is infrastructure. Unfortunately, not all European countries have prioritized creating such infrastructure, making cities more safe and convenient for people to cycle. The layout of cities also plays a crucial role in promoting or hindering cycling. Dutch cities are flat and often compact, with shorter distances between destinations, making cycling a practical and efficient mode of transport. In addition, companies have incentives to promote cycling to work, which of course leads the Dutch to choose their bikes either when the sun shines or when it rains. However, in other European cities, commutes are longer, and cycling is not as feasible alternative for everyday transportation.
And not to talk about the car-centric culture. Many countries have such a car-centric culture where the car is the prioritized transport, making infrastructure convenient only for cars, resulting in fewer resources for cycling.
Yeah, you're right, Carolina. But at least in the Netherlands, electric vehicles are quite extended. The country has one of the highest densities of electric vehicle charging points in the world. This encourages the use of electric vehicles over fossil dependent cars, but of course, bikes are always the first priority.
Yeah.
Yes, and that's great.
And now that I'm thinking, they must be quite efficient with water management, right? I think about it because the third part of the country is below the sea.
Yes, exactly. The Dutch have a long history of land and water management, and they have dealt with their unique geographical position with different measures because they didn't have another option.
Yep.
Exactly. They didn't have another option but to build dikes, canals, and draining systems, otherwise, the country would be flooded. This has been a mixture of great engineering, innovation, and good governance.
That must have been a big challenge.
So it's time to give some examples of companies and startups that are making the Netherlands a bit more sustainable. Carolina, do you have any interesting initiatives to mention in today's episode?
Yes, I do.
Nice.
There is an initiative from the Netherlands which I love. It's the Great Bubble Barrier. It's an innovative startup that uses bubbles to collect plastic waste in rivers and canals. Isn't it
cool.
great? Yeah. And the bubbles barriers creates a curtain with a perforated tube on the bottom of the water bay where the air is pumped through. This generates a curtain of bubbles that blocks plastics and brings them to the surface to collect them. Clever, isn't it?
Yeah.
This prevents the plastic from reaching the sea, protecting the marine ecosystem.
Yes, I have heard about this method. It's such a great idea.
Yes, and the bubble barrier is also versatile and therefore suitable to implement in different types of rivers and canals. So it's amazing because it can be installed in many places to collect as much plastic as possible.
Yeah, that's the goal. Also, another initiative from the Netherlands that collects plastic, in this case mainly in the ocean but also in rivers, it's the Ocean Cleanup.
Yeah, it's great.
They aim to clean 90% of floating plastic pollution in the oceans, so they have created specific technologies to do so. We invite all of you to check their website and social media where you will understand how they do it.
Yeah, they are great. And well, just to finish off with the great Dutch initiatives, I will also love to mention our Primus consortium partner Circularize in this episode. It is a blockchain-based company that facilitates transparency and traceability in supply chains. So their platform also allows companies to share information about the origin, composition, and disposal of different products, promoting the circular economy principles and making the transition a bit easier.
The role is actually essential for circular economy. And these are just a few examples of sustainable initiatives and companies in the Netherlands. The country has a vibrant sustainability scene with a number of organizations dedicated to environmental and social progress.
Yeah, I think that the Netherlands have a lot of good initiatives.
Yeah, they do.
We are almost finishing the episode.
Oh,
Yeah, but first, let's give a sustainable tip that we have prepared for today. So, something that you might not be familiar with is the challenge of recycling combined materials. Sometimes it becomes difficult to avoid buying those kind of materials that they are most common in packaging. When this is the case, we should make sure to separate them when we throw them away.
yes, it's nice that you mentioned that because so many people don't bother to separate plastic from cardboard, for example, even though we know it's important that we do so.
Yeah, for example, when you buy a box of raspberries that you have underneath the cardboard and a plastic film in the upper part.
Yeah. Yeah, but it's true that depending on the packaging, sometimes it becomes very annoying. So I personally try to avoid it.
Yeah, but when you don't have any chance, you need to separate them.
Yeah.
I always try to avoid this kind of package as well. I find it mostly in food packaging.
You are right. It's very common to find it in food packaging. Before we finish, the last question of the podcast that we always ask the guests is how you personally contribute to sustainability. So, Anna, what small actions do you take in your everyday life?
Yes, please give us your tricks.
Well, first, I would say I contribute to sustainability from a professional perspective, working in circular economy. Also, project like Primus, for example, with plastics recycling. So that's my professional contribution to the planet.
That's extremely important. What's the biggest challenge of working with recycled materials, Anna?
There are different challenges when recycling materials. In our streams, for example, the unpredictability of the waste stream, the quality of the input, their availability and stability. Mechanical sorting of e-waste has their limitations. Nowadays, approximately 40% is not recovered, and this is due to the complexity of the mixed material and the lack of sorting technologies. Another challenge is the fast and limitative changes of the regulation that can impact the value chain and can influence our feedstock, not just on the reduction of the limits but also on future regulation that can be applied to new substances that may or may not be in the e-waste plastics.
It seems exciting, but that's a long list of challenges you mentioned. I guess there's still a lot to be done to improve the plastic recycling industry, right?
Yeah.
What about your tips for your personal everyday life?
More on the personal side, I continuously try to educate myself on the topic, being up to date on environmental challenges, understanding them, and just being updated. Then I generally share what I learn with people around me. I believe talking about sustainability with people around us is very important, and we can learn a lot from each other with simple conversations or listening to podcasts like this one.
There's a lot of information very accessible to us anywhere, and we do believe that these kind of channels are useful to spread the word about how we can all take small actions.
Yes.
We try also to make it entertaining and enjoyable.
Yeah, so that's why we are trying to contribute to sustainability by raising awareness with the Trash Talking podcast.
Everything counts.
Yeah, everything. And last but not least, there is a small reflection that we wanted to share with you all.
Yeah, this came to our mind while we were having a normal conversation about how we should separate waste and stuff like that.
We believe we could all improve how to separate waste and how we recycle it if we shift our mindsets and start thinking of waste as a resource.
Yeah, so instead of thinking of waste as something that we discard and has no added value, we should change our perspective and see waste as something valuable because in fact it is.
Yeah, it is a material that someone can use afterwards. If waste is properly managed and handled, it becomes a material of high value to reintroduce in other products after recycling it.
And that's exactly what we are doing in the Primus project.
And that brings us to the end of another enlightening episode of Trash Talking. We hope that today's episode has given you more ways and ideas to integrate sustainable living practices to your daily routine.
Yeah, we'd like to thank Anna and all of those working tirelessly to research and innovate and also push the boundaries of how to live more sustainably. This is the knowledge that keeps our discussions lively and entertaining.
Yeah, thank you, Anna, for being here with us.
Thank you so much for inviting me. It was a pleasure to be here today.
Remember, you can check the sources of all the information we gave in the description of this episode.
And of course, a big thank you to all you listeners. Remember, you can join our community on social media. We have an account in Instagram and Facebook, and you can follow us looking for the Primus Project EU.
Yes, follow us and see you in the next episode with another European country.
Until next time.
Yeah, bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
This podcast series is funded by the European Union. Views and opinions expressed are, however, those of the authors only and do not necessarily reflect those of the European Union or HADIA. Neither the European Union nor the granting authority can be held responsible for them.